charged off. You had 45 applications running in the background.
Did I?
And they all suck up energy.
Well, I would say that's probably not me either.
Well,
I don't know what I do.
yeah.
I usually just use the
You don't have to do an application.
I usually just use the notes.
Right.
That's the main thing I use.
Yeah. If you boom boom on the home screen. Boom boom. So those are all of the applications that are running. If you want to keep one, you just get it. And if you can keep it, well, even though they're
Yes. It's happening everywhere. I wasn't expecting that. Well, she didn't just say no.
And I've got your charger as well. No problem. Well, as long as they both work, I guess.
Start presenting to us.
Oh, do you know, sorry, do you need to use that one? Sorry, I wanted to bring it to you.
Would you like to use this?
In case you needed it for the session.
Would you like this back as well?
No.
I might give you anything else and then I can give it back to you.
No.
Can I have your bag, please?
You want this? Sorry, I've been doing too many things.
You're all right.
You don't need this.
I don't need that right now.
Well, if you want.
I did notice there was a bit of a swell of people down the end of the hallway, so we'll just give them an extra minute or two to come down. Presenting for us firstly will be Joelle Lay and Georgina Barton from the University of Canberra, and they'll be telling us about their work with groups and much more. And they'll be fantastic.
Yay. Thank you. So hopefully we won't bore anyone too much with the exciting gamification stuff after us. We're going to tell you about how we manage multiple cohorts within one site at the University of Canberra. Just to give you some background, you can see over the last 5 years the number of students enrolled at UC has increased and is steadily increasing. We don't have the numbers for this year because this year's not over yet, but you can see the sites created for 2014 so far is at about 1,700, so that's about 17,000 students and 1,700 sites. Now, the reason that our number of cohorts or our number of students is increasing is because our number of cohorts are increasing from our partners that we have, both domestic partners and international partners. Some of our domestic third-party providers, which we know as the APN.
Sorry.
Just a slow glide down the... Okay. The APN, the Australian Polytechnic Network, consists of Holmes Glen, which we actually have some Holmes Glen people in the audience today, Northern Sydney Institute of TAFE, Southwestern Sydney, TAFE, Queensland, Brisbane, and then our international partnerships, which we call our Transnational Education Network. And we have partnerships with universities in East China, Hong Kong, Vietnam, Bhutan, and others. So because of these relationships that we are developing with other universities, we're often dealing now with one unit that might consist of multiple cohorts, both from within the university but also with our partners. And Joelle is going to tell you how we deal with managing those cohorts in our sites, just using one site for multiple cohorts.
So as Georgie just mentioned, the number of students keeps growing, and our staff needed to create more sites to accommodate these students. We needed to come with a strategy to answer our staff needs, and especially when they come to us and they ask questions such as, well, I have different units, but in each unit there are a small number of students. Why can't I have all of them into one site rather than creating different sites? It will be much easier for me to manage the content and the interaction between my students. We also have other questions like, I'm teaching the same units, but within this same unit there are several levels. So I have postgraduate students, I have undergraduate students, and I also have students that are from UC, Canberra, and other people from Melbourne. So I want them into one site. It would be much easier for me to manage this. So we consulted with each other and we said, well, why not? Why not having one site in which you can teach all your students? So how do we do that? At UC we have some integrated tools, and one of them is called Callista. So Callista allows us to enable us to enroll students into the relevant sites. So what you're seeing on the screen here is what lecturers see when they go and add a unit. So they would type in the unit number, then click on the search button, and after that they have the result showing down with the semester, the year, the number of students enrolled in the site, and the location. So they can add the Melbourne student, the UC student, and whether they are undergraduate or postgraduate. Once you've linked all your cohorts into one site, you need to transform your Moodle site into a collaborative platform for both your students and for the staff. So when you're talking about collaboration, it could be group projects. So it could be whether you're doing face-to-face and online delivery with small groups of students, or it could be online and flexible delivery with big groups of students. When you talk about collaboration between teaching staff, it's more, it has more to do with the marking process. For example, you're marking essays and you have a big number of students, like 400 students. It will be better for you to use groups and grouping to share the load of this marking. So at UC, we are mainly using two methods. The first one is the group selection tool, and the second one has to do with Allocate+. So let's start with the group selection tool. Before you set up your group selection tool, you need to set up your groups and grouping. In this case, I've already set up my groups, which is the undergraduate students, the postgraduate students, and the Melbourne students. And my groupings will be the undergraduate cohorts, the postgraduate cohorts, and the Melbourne cohorts. I'll need to give it a name, a description. Then after that, I allow the selection from all, which is all the groups that I created. And I'm even able to set up a maximum number per group. In this case, I'll set up for 30. That's the limit. And for the group mode, I want them to be separate groups because I want the differentiation between the three groups: undergraduate, postgraduate, and Melbourne. Next, this is how your all the students see the site when they come in first. They will see this link that says select your group. They'll click on this link, and the next they will see select your group to be able to access the activities. So as you can see, there are three different groups: Melbourne students, postgraduate students, and undergraduate students. They will just choose which one they want to become a member of. So far, they can't see who are the other members in the group, but they can see the count that says, all right, the limit has been reached for undergraduate students, 30 out of 30. We've talked about how the group selection works. Now let's talk about Allocate+. So Allocate+ is a system that we are using at UC, and it allows our students to enroll themselves into tutorials at the beginning of each semester. So once they've enrolled into their correct tutorials, what our teaching staff are doing is that they go and log into Allocate Plus, they search for the unit number, and they create a Moodle CSV. And this file will contain the students' IDs and the tutorial in which they are enrolled in. The next step is a manual process. There's no integration at the moment between Allocate Plus and Moodle, so staff have to go into Moodle and import this CSV file into Moodle manually. We've seen how Allocate Plus works. Now let's see how you allow a particular group of students to access specific information. You'll have to do different settings at different levels. So we'll do settings at site level, at section or topic level, and within an activity. Let's start at the site level. So your group mode will have to be set up on separate groups. And it is important that you don't force your group mode, because it will allow you more flexibility later on when you want to create a forum and you want all of your students to interact with each other. This separate group setting mode will allow you, Georgie will show you in the end how to manage your gradebook by dividing your group, but also it's much easier for you if you're marking your essay or whatever assignment you want to separate into different groups. Our next setting will be at the section or the topic section level. In here, I've chosen to set up only for the undergraduate. So it means that in this section, whatever activity I put in, it could be a forum, it could be an assignment, a quiz, only my undergraduate student will see it. Within an activity itself, in this case it is an assignment, you can also set up your grouping just for the undergraduate cohort, and you would need to tick available for group members only. So you'll notice that in this case, my group mode says no groups, because I'm only taking care, I'm only considering my grouping, like a big group as a whole and no subgroup within it. The next view here is how your undergraduate students see the site. They will only see this section, which I restricted early on. And you'll see that there's something missing between undergraduate, that section, and the topic 4, which is topic 2 and 3. You can compare this view to the lecturer's view, who is seeing all of the 3 cohorts, undergraduate, postgraduate, and Melbourne cohort. So we've seen pretty much how to go through the settings for groups and grouping. The most important thing now is the gradebook, because you need to sort out how the students are graded, and Georgie will explain how to do so.
Okay, so our gradebooks were more important this year than any other year previously, because we now have our gradebooks are integrated with Callista, which means that all the official marks that students receive at the end of the semester go through our Moodle gradebook. So this is a new thing at UC. This means that we have to make sure that the gradebook is aggregating all the grades correctly for each cohort. So you might have 3 different possibilities if you have multiple cohorts in your site. First one, if you have more than one group but they are all doing the same assessments, same weightings, that's fantastic. No problem, everything will be just fine. However, if you have multiple groups and they are doing the same assessments but with different weightings, or if your groups are doing completely different assignments, then we have to get a little bit more constructive, a little bit more creative with the gradebook, and set it up so that each cohort will receive the correct weighting and the correct mark for each grade, for each assessment item. Now, before I show you how the categories work to achieve that goal, this is what Joelle was talking about before. Because she set up the separate groups at site level, I can go into my gradebook and I can filter my gradebook by cohort. So I can choose to just look at my postgraduate students or just my undergraduate students and how they're doing in the gradebook. Now, if my cohorts all have different assignment weightings or different assignments, then I'll need to set up a different category for each one in the gradebook. Each category can be calculated however best suits that unit. So you can have as many assignments as you like, and you can aggregate the grade however you like. So you can have simple weighted mean of grades as your aggregation method, or weighted mean of grades. Hopefully this means something to everyone. However is best suited to that category, that's fine. At the highest level, we'll have the highest grade selected as the aggregation method. What that means is that if I'm an undergraduate student, Joelle has restricted my access to postgraduate and Melbourne assignments. I'm therefore not going to receive a grade for those. That means that the assignments that I do, I will receive a grade for. Hopefully that will be higher than 0, and that will be the one that will be counted towards my site total. So there's an example here for test student 40, which is a lovely name. You can see they've done the 3 assignments and received the category total for their undergraduate assessment items. And then the lower screenshot shows you their category total for undergraduate, postgraduate and Melbourne. And because there is nothing in the other 2, they'll automatically be getting their category total from the undergraduate category as their site total. Okay, so so far we have been pretty successful managing all these different cohorts in our sites. Looking to the future, we know that in 2015 we'll have more partnerships, new course offerings. For this year, we're aware of one site that had 7 different cohorts. That site is anticipating having 15 different cohorts next year. So we'll see how we go with that one, and hopefully it will run as smoothly as the rest. The other exciting thing for us for next year is our Allocate Plus integration. So students use Allocate Plus to enrol themselves in their chosen tutorial groups, and from next year that will be automatically sent to Moodle to update the groups within Moodle. That's great because it means not only does the lecturer not have to do it manually, they also don't have to worry if their students change tutorial groups after a week or 2 weeks, because it will automatically sync with Moodle again and update the groups. So that's how we're managing our multiple cohorts in one site at UC. Our email addresses are there if you have any questions that you don't get to ask today. Thank you.
Do we have any questions for Joelle and Georgina?
Callista. So that's our student management system. It manages enrolments. So it goes from the student enrolling in the course, or in the unit, I should say. That syncs with Moodle. We just have to select the unit code to enrol the students that are enrolled in that unit into the site. So we don't have to go through any manual process to find those students. Then at the end of the semester, we're transferring the results back from Moodle back through to the student management system to report their grades.
How have your academics responded to this?
Well, we've had mixed responses, as you would usually expect. But for the most part, I think it's been effective in managing. So rather than having to do the same thing over and over again, being able to just have 3 or 4 different cohorts in one site means that you only have to do the work once from a lecturer's perspective. It's a little bit fiddly with the grade book at times, but that's what we're there for. So they can always come to us if they're having trouble figuring out how to aggregate the grades.
Just a follow-up question. So, are there any major lessons that you think you've learned from going through this process in the last year?
We are still refining a lot of the integrations that we have. So we did have in semester one, at the end of semester one was the first time that the grade book automatically transferred grades through to Callista, and there was a bit of a teething process there. We found some bugs, and we found some of the culture among the staff of the way that they are used to recording their grades has to, we're working at changing that culture so that it fits in with the system and so everything can be recorded in the same way.
Any other questions?
Just one more clarification. When you add students to the site, if they've got different assessments, they're often sitting in different topics, so you only release that topic to that cohort.
It could be that way. That was one example, yes. So, yes,
So they're managed in all different ways.
yes, yeah. So you could have 3 different cohorts doing completely different assignments, and then that would work the way that Joelle showed you by only releasing that section to one cohort. But you could also have 3 different cohorts doing the same assignments, but getting a different grade, or they have a different weighting.
So we might try and stick to the schedule because obviously other sessions, people will be coming in and all the things. So Sharon, Julianne and Lena will be starting at shortly. Trip hasn't
Is it just a pretend picture?
Just you?
Oh, no. Do you want this here?
Yeah. We can wait till then. Here. Do you want me to leave this one up there?
I'm going to stand up here though because I think they were hidden behind everything. So can I put it here? Because we're just going to use this. Yes, it's a good idea.
We have to prove that we're here. It's a holiday in Melbourne today. Well, it's not really, but
It is.
proving that we're not having a long weekend.
Otherwise,